Hi, everyone. We are very happy to host today Martin Hulényi from University of Lille. We have a lot of guests today, both online and offline. So, Martin, floor is yours. You will have up to 1 hour, so relax and have a good presentation. So maybe we have just to yes, this. Why I don't see it?
Maybe
No.
already opened somewhere because, oh yeah.
Ah, okay.
So hello, thank you for the invite. So I'm going to present a paper I worked on together with Jan and Olga, and it's about the impact of EU funds on regional growth. So just to start, this graph shows the development of expenditure categories of the EU budget. And basically here we can see here the growing importance of the EU funds. In the 70s, they constituted around 10% of the EU expenditures, while it grew starting in the towards the end of the 1980s to around 1/3 of the expenditures today. And basically, so the EU funds are meant to foster regional convergence in the EU to help the peripheral regions. So mainly the main part of the funds goes to Objective 1 regions or convergence objective regions, less developed regions, which constitute, which have their GDP is below 75% of the EU GDP per capita. And it's the aim is to help with job creation, competitiveness, economic growth, and sustainability and also competitiveness. Yeah, and also when we look at the proportion of funds that goes to member states, in gray here are the old member states, the EU 15. In color, the new member states, and we can see that here in 2015, up to when we have the data here, the majority of the EU funds goes to the new member states, with actually among those, mainly Poland here. And so the question arises, how much does it help the regional growth of the EU regions? There have been a number of papers on this topic, and what they found out is that the impact is mixed. So there are some papers that find positive impact, papers that find even insignificant or negative impact. And in the meta-analysis by Daleba and Funk, there's also a wide range of the estimate. There are several causes which might be behind these mixed findings. The first one is that the impact is heterogeneous. So heterogeneous in the sense that it differs across the EU objective. Moll et al. And Fiaschi et al. Find that it's more significant for the Objective 1 regions, so the less developed regions. Rodriguez, Pose, and Fratesi find that it differs across categories of expenditure, meaning that meaning that the funds are more effective when used in R&D and education, and less effective when used for infrastructure projects. Then also there is a spatial differentiation in terms of geographical entities. The funds are more, Crescenzi and Kuya find that they are more effective in German regions in comparison to Spanish, Italian regions. Hakagradi and Percoco find that the funds are more effective in rural areas than urban areas. Also, the institutional quality plays a significant role. Regions with a better institutional quality have more effective use of EU funds. And there's also a temporal aspect, which is two-sided. First, Dishari and Dishari finds that the absorption speed is quite important. Regions that have a high absorption speed might have quite easy, less innovative projects, while Daletba and Fang find that in the second aspect, that the impact of EU funds in the studies was increasing in time, which can have two explanations. First one is the learning effect among the researchers, and that better methods were used for evaluating the EU funds. And second is the learning effect among the implementing entities. So the EU and member states learned how to implement the EU funds in a better way. There are some methodological challenges when evaluating the impact of the EU funds. First is the endogeneity issue, which stems from, for instance, from the fact that there could be reverse causality, as the eligibility is based on development. Less countries that are less developed, having a negative growth rate might become eligible for higher amounts of funds. And this was also, so the previous solutions to these problems were using the regression discontinuity design around the 75% threshold for the less developed regions. And so basically the issue there was that some regions are classified as less developed, even if they go above the 75% threshold. So solutions were here was to use the fuzzy approach of the RDD, or to delete these observations. Another approach was to look at the counterfactual estimation using synthetic control methods of loss of eligibility of least developed regions for Italian and some Italian and English UK regions. Another approach was to go beyond regions, to look at by Butler and Hammer, to look at firm level data using propensity score matching, and Daletba and Lagallo used the classic approach using instrumental variable, where they used the distance to Brussels as their IV, as the distance to the decision-making place of the EU. There's also the issue of spatial spillovers, which are omitted from consideration. A lot of analysis basically the Dominicis and others use convergent, divide the sample into convergent clubs using objective one, the status or the development status of the regions, and then look at spatial spillovers, or basically in analysis of the whole sample is done by Breidenbach and Koffers and Talba and Lagallo, who find when looking at the EU15 that there are negative or even or insignificant spillover effects. So here we want to address these two methodological issues. First, our contribution here is that in 2017 or 2018, there was a new yearly data on the European funds released. Before that, the data was aggregated by the 7-year programming periods, according to for which the funds are usually allocated, and so we are one of the first ones who use these data. Also, we cover here the regions of the 2004 and 2007 Eastern enlargements, which were less present in previous studies, and we then try to take into account the endogeneity. We take into account the endogeneity of EU funds by looking at the presence of environmental protected areas as instruments for the cohesion policy receipts, as well as we look in other specification at the interregional spillovers of European funds. So what we use as the instrument is the Natura 2000 network. It is a network of terrestrial and marine conservation areas that protect threatened habitats and species. There are currently more than 27,000 sites at present that account for 18% of EU areas, and they vary because of presence of endangered species that range from wild and sparsely inhabited areas to farmland and urban areas, but basically forested areas account for around 50% of the Natura 2000 sites. And in these, the goal of these areas is to prohibit or regulate harmful activities. And because of these constraints on industrial use and infrastructural development, we used it as a potential instrument for cohesion policy. So the economic activity is not banned there, but it needs to take account the protected status of the area. Also, there is some budget from the EU funds allocated for the Natura 2000 network, but it's very negligible. So it's 6 million euros annually compared to the 350 billion euros of the cohesion policy budget. So here's basically a map of the whole Natura sites. There are also some sites that are on seas, water areas, but in this analysis we just concentrate on the terrestrial sites, and there are birds directive areas that protect birds, protected habitats, and different types. Yeah, so these are pictures by Olga from sites she visited here in Poland to strengthen the motivation. And yeah, so to come to the data we use, we have the cohesion policy payments on NUTS 2 level from DG Regio. It's the new annualized data set on payments. We have the spatial data on the Natura 2000 sites, where we use the centroid to allocate them to NUTS 2 regions. But afterwards, we then web scrape the forms. There are public available forms for each Natura 2000 site, where you also have the region stated in which it is located. And we did that to check the data, because some centroids could be located out of regions or in a completely different region. For instance, when a river is between two regions or two countries. Regional economic statistics we took from the Cambridge Econometrics regional database, and we also took to have an institutional quality variable. We condensed the world governance indicators from the World Bank on national level using principal component analysis to one single indicator. So overall, we have data for 272 NUTS 2 regions. That's over a period from 1997 to 2014. What we do here is we use a solo growth model at regional level. The first line are the basic solo variables. So the initial GDP per capita, the gross fixed capital formation, then the growth, the population growth rate, to which we want the depreciation rate, a proxy for the depreciation rate, and the technology growth rate, and then also a measure of institutional quality. And then in the second line is the variable of interest, the ratio of EU funds to GDP, which we also then interact with the objective one status of regions to see difference between different category of regions. We then conducted just spatial squares analysis, where we instrument the EU funds with the share of regions area covered by the Natura 2000 sites. Beside that, to check also, we use the count of Natura sites, Natura 2000 sites in a region as a second possible instrument. And lastly, in the spatial Durbin model, to look at spillovers, we use there's a mistake. Squared inverse of square distance, squared inverse of the square distance of between regions, where we have cutoff points for quartiles and for quantiles, and yeah, to three different quantiles, and yeah, then we calculate the direct effect, indirect effect, and total effect. Coming to the, so yeah, another picture from Olga. To see, so to see the development of the cohesion policy in Natura 2000, here is how it looked like in 1997 at the beginning of our observation period. Basically, the funds are allocated mainly to the regions of EU periphery, of EU 15 periphery, so Portugal, Spain, Southern Italy, Greece, and Ireland, and East Germany. This slowly changes with the accession of the 2004 enlargement, and also we have more Natura sites that entered the program. And yeah, here's the shift towards the new member states in 2014 more visible, and then we can see that also the Natura 2000 sites, which are mainly located, so the highest proportion of the region of an area of a region is in Spain, East Slovakia, Romanian, Bulgarian, Greek regions, and then also here north of Europe. So what we find is a positive impact of EU funds on regional growth rate, which becomes more significant when we add institutional variable into the regression. Also, positive impact of institutions on regional growth rate. But however, the interaction is insignificant. And when we look at the objective 1 status of the regions, the results are that EU funds there are negatively significant, but basically being part of the objective 1, being objective 1 region has a positive impact like a convergence. So it's more convergence than getting EU funds. When we use the Natura 2000 as an instrument, as a proportion or as the number of sites, we get more higher impact in magnitude of EU funds, which signifies that there was a downward bias of the EU funds without taking into account endogeneity. And still, it still has a significantly positive impact. And lastly, looking at the spillovers, the control variables are the same, just to make the table readable, omitted in the table. But we can see that there is still a positive impact, but it stems mainly from the average indirect effects, which might, an explanation here might be that, for instance, firms that conduct the projects in a region come from a different region. So to sum up, we find here that the cohesion policy transfers have a positive overall effect on regional economic growth, which becomes even stronger when controlling for endogeneity. So the OS estimates are biased downwards. We also have we also find that interregional spillovers are important, that the cohesion policy effect might take mainly in nearby regions rather than in the recipient region. And when we included institutional quality in the regressions, we found a faster regional, basically regions with better institutions have faster regional growth. So convergence of less developed region can be achieved by greater redistribution or by institutional change. So it's just not a $100 bill you find on the sidewalk. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you.